Okay, thank you. Sarah sent out the draft of the minutes for both meetings in June, the regular meeting as well as the special meeting we had for the review and approval of the transfer of property to the county for the replacement of the bridge, the waterfall. Have you had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
No? Yeah. Any questions or corrections?
No.
Can you get a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make that
Motion
motion.
a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Minutes have been approved. The vouchers, the summary package is going around to the trustees. Here's the summary of the vouchers, the final payments for the last fiscal year. The $2,700 came through, that was paid. And for this fiscal year, for the month of July, we have $127,744 totally paid. Now, in the package, which I don't have on the screen there, but you've all got the final operating expense report for the year of 22-23. And what it shows is that revenues exceeded expenses by $35,000 for the general fund. So I was happy to see that, in spite of us pulling a lot of things into the last fiscal year. So we were certainly good by $35,000. For the water fund, expenses exceeded revenue by $8,400. Now recall we had a special payment to the Thorndale because of a credit issue of $22,000. So that also affected why we were in the red in the water fund by $8,000. And the sewer fund was in the green by $12,000. So water and sewer about well on track. And the major hiccup was the repayment to Thorndale, the $22,000 credit, which is one half of what we owe them. Will be another payment this fiscal year, next April. All right. Any questions about the operating expense report? I suggest if any of you go through, if you have questions or comments, please let me know, but it's a good report for the last fiscal year. Any questions about it now? No? Okay. All right. So here's the vouchers for the month of July. Any questions about these vouchers? What are the big charges this month? Which you see the total of $127,000. Making a motion to accept the vouchers.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. The vouchers are approved. The note up here at the top, Sarah, what's this? Oh, the insurance bill of $78,000. We'll pay that next month?
We want to put it through, but there was we didn't get a full breakdown yet.
Yeah, right.
So we want it approved so that we can pay it as soon
I
as
see.
we
Okay,
get
fine.
that.
So that's part of this $127,000. And the breakout we need is what goes to fire, what goes to general fund,
Right.
water and sewer.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. That's important. We keep those things separate.
Correct.
All righty. Okay. Deirdre, so you there? Anything up from the Dutchess County?
Sure. I'll just say that we had our regular committee meetings last week and then our monthly regular meeting on Monday. It was a pretty standard agenda for July, which is quite light. The one thing of note that I think is worth noting is that after months of debate and deliberation, we did finally approve the new Veterans Cemetery that the county will own. It is going to be the back part of Wappinger's rural cemetery. And it will allow for burial of veterans and their spouses to be buried there. If the spouse predeceases the veteran, the family will be responsible to purchase the grave marker, just as it is in the federal program. And then once the veteran dies, if the spouse predeceases, the federal government provides the marker engraved with the information on it. On the front is the veteran's name and date of birth and deceased, and on the back side is the spouse's. So again, it was a long time coming, but we were one of the few counties without a veteran cemetery, so we were really happy to be able to do that this month, and we should have it open for November.
And this is the Wapner Cemetery on 9G.
Correct, the Wappingers Rural Cemetery, and we purchased plots, like 500 plots in the back section, and it's going to be a completely separate section with its own monument to the veterans, in it.
Oh, nice, okay. I know the doctor, I guess, because I thought that seemed pretty full, but that's just one I could see.
Yeah, we just put a paved loop in maybe a month ago. The
Oh.
county paved a loop that will
Nice.
allow access.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so that was really the biggest thing. So upcoming for August, we'll be voting on Dutchess Community College's budget. And then before you know it, we're right into our budget season. So we're back at it.
Okay, good.
Thanks.
Any questions for Dieter? All right, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Tom, fire department.
Alright, as you can see the numbers, we had a total of 80 calls, 19 fire alarms, 52 EMS calls. It goes up to 55 if you count the auto accidents that they get dispatched to as well. Hazmat, we had one gas line get hit by an excavator. We had 3 motor vehicle accidents, no smoke investigations, which is great. 2 carbon monoxide alarms. Fires, we didn't have any structure fire calls in district. We did have 2 mutual aid ones where we went and sent our tanker and an engine to. That's it for that. The NDP, like I said, 55 times. We did have one issue being Greenbrier as usual. We had one patient call 7 times in 3 days for very trivial stuff, so that number is a little higher than it should be, but that is being dealt with through them. Our 72 got out 6 times, transported once, but every time there was a second call in the district, they did get out.
All right, good.
But that's about it. Any questions on that?
No, I saw all the green rides, all those green ride calls were one person.
Not all of them. Towards the end of the month, we did have 7 calls in 3 days for one patient.
Okay.
Like I said, we talked to management, we talked to the state troopers, and stuff is in the works to have that person moved, but unfortunately, it's a slow process. Speaking of Greenbrier, there are, Department of Health did go in there and found a whole bunch of violations. They're currently being fined $1,000 a day. The owner kind of just went, okay, and shrugged it off, so it doesn't sound like anything's being resolved. The Department of Health did talk to Lori a little bit and some other rescue squad members, and pretty much said anytime you go in there and you see a violation or something that's not safe or whatever, call the report hotline. They gave us a number, and I've given it to the officers on the fire side as well, so if we go there for fire alarms, they know to be on the lookout.
So this is Dutchess County Board of Health?
No, state.
Oh, state, New York State Board of
State
Health.
Board of Health.
Oh, okay.
So, we're trying to get some of the stuff there resolved. We'll see how it goes. The only other things I have, the chief's vehicle, like, as you noticed, we were doing a little shopping for the reviewing stand. We're waiting on some quotes to proceed with that to see what kind of pricing they come back with, since it's the first time in quite a while that we're having someone do vehicle, lighting, graphics, the whole 9 yards all in one shot, so getting that to all come together is just taking a little bit of time.
Now, when you get that quote together, you need to review that with us, because we put in a number in the budget. I want to make sure that we're,
Yep, I've talked to a few, the 2 that I've gotten answers back from so far that are somewhat nearby, they're right around that number. And I'm gonna work with them to see just how close we can get it to it.
okay.
But we're not too far off.
All right, fine.
The only other thing I have, just so you guys know, in about 4 to 5 years, the county is going to be changing the radio system that we use for dispatch.
Yep.
And it's going to involve us getting all new radios. None of the radios we have now will work on this new system. So in the next year or so, I'm going to start working on getting a way to start stockpiling the radios, so it's not one giant purchase right at the bat. The county has told us already that they won't be taking care of all the vehicle radios, but all the portable radios will be left up to us. So I'm gonna try to start making a plan to stockpile a couple years ahead, where we're not trying to buy 30 radios at once. We'll buy a few every year leading up to it, so when the switch happens, we're not scrambling.
I went to a seminar with Ted a while ago about that deployment, and they said they were going to be doing it by area across the county. Is that true?
I haven't heard any updates on that.
Okay.
But I will be looking.
All right, fine. Yeah.
That's
All
all I've got.
Any questions for Dom? Anybody in the audience? Questions?
I'll just interject that we're starting the transfer of the radio system in 2024, and we're starting with the Department of Public Works, because they're the most broadly used department on that system.
Is that right?
And then we'll go into emergency. It's about a 1-year transfer to get every department on that system. But I was under the impression that every turnout gear was getting a radio. So let's double back on that and talk about it.
Okay.
You mean funded by the county?
That's what the impression I was under. We just
Okay.
funded this month for another $18 million. So when I asked the question, I thought every piece of turnout gear got a radio.
Okay. That's news to me, but
Let's find out. We'll talk about it.
That's good news if it's true. All right, thanks. Okay, Matt. First off, I gotta say, Matt, congratulations on another fine job. Let me give you a round of applause. From start to finish, just really super job.
Thank you.
I'm sure you had a lot of help, but I mean, you were the focal point, and it came off like that.
Well, I'm already working on next year.
I bet you are. Okay.
The windows hopefully to be installed next week. They're sitting behind us. They came last week or 2 weeks ago, but the scholar's just been busy, and of course we had the block party in between, so I didn't want them done.
Right.
I had Crystal Clear Mechanical out the week of the block party to work on the air conditioner in this room. The thermostat was shot. When he took it apart, he realized it was wired wrong. It's the original air conditioner from the 1980s.
Okay.
Hence the trophies out. He had to go into the air conditioner unit to repair it. He was back again today, but he told me the next time he comes out to do stuff with it, it will not be fixable. So I will be putting in for next year's budget to replace the air conditioner in this room.
Roughly how much? Roughly.
I'm not really sure.
$500?
Yeah. Good luck. He did recommend a Mitsubishi wall mount and not inside the split.
Oh.
Yeah, split,
Oh, okay. All right.
which would be a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
We had them done downstairs 4 or 5 years ago in the offices, and I think it was 10 to 12,000, if that. But that was also 3 units for the offices.
Well, it's a
For
big
I mean,
room,
for the,
so.
for the three offices.
Okay. So as soon as you can, give us a rough estimate, just so we have something we can look at,
Sure.
looking forward. All right. And we should update the capital plan to reflect this.
I believe I had it in
I think it was in there, right?
place that air conditioner, but
Oh,
that air conditioner back here was put in the late 80s, early 90s. This air conditioner was put in when we built this addition, this side of the firehouse, and that was done, I believe, it was completed in the late 1981-82 frame.
all right.
So it's 40 years old.
Okay.
We did lose one of our refrigerators in the kitchen on the Friday night of the block party. The compressor burnt out. We had a small little smell of smoke, but Sam looked at it today and said it's beyond repair.
All right.
But that's all I have.
That's enough. Any questions for Matt?
I would just like to again, congratulations, and I hope the turnout matches the parade in terms of size and public going out.
Saturday night alone, we brought in close to $6,000.
Good for you.
But that was before we haven't paid any bills yet.
Yeah, all right. Nice.
Yeah, great job, Matt. Everyone I talked to had a great time.
Thank you.
And it's a valuable service that you provided the community for everyone to come together for a couple of days. And hopefully it makes economic sense for you to do it because people really enjoyed it.
Yeah, just the idea of a small town you know, the parade, people just love the parade. I just can't believe people come out, you know, from all over the place to watch this parade.
And having the signboard, we were able to advertise much better.
Nice, okay, good plug there. Or dig, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that was. Any other questions for Matt in the audience, anybody? Okay, great, thanks a lot. Okay, so Officer Witt just texted me that one of his daughter's a double WASP thing, and so he's getting her treated. So he's maybe not going to be able to make the meeting. Here's the data that you can look at. You can see the total of almost 100 incidents for the month. Only one traffic ticket, 8 parking tickets. A lot of parking complaints. Those are things that follow up with Officer Witt later. I do want to talk about the proposal I sent to the trustees just recently, maybe yesterday, from Lexapol regarding the implementation of the policies and procedures for the police department. So what happens in the background, we had gotten from Sheriff Imperati the Sheriff's Department policies and procedures manual, and Officer Witt was in the process of converting that into tailored policies and procedures manual for the Millbrook Police. And his estimate was he's about 10 or 50% into that process. However, the mayor showed me that the Red Hook had actually contracted with Lexapol to do this work for them. And they will do the initial implementation of the entire policies and procedures package based on New York State requirements. But more importantly, is they will provide routine updates of this manual. And so one of the risks we had with the plan we had on was that Officer Witt and Brooks Lyman, one of his officers, were going to work on this and go through the process and put this procedure in place. But then we have to go back and routinely update it. Whereas Lexapol, for it was like $2,000 a year, after we paid for the initial implementation, would do that update for us automatically. And so I don't want a decision tonight from the board, although I'm open to any questions or comments about that proposal. And the key thing of concern is the fact that it's not in the budget, but they've asked for about $15,000 for the initial work required to do the implementation. And as Deputy Mayor and I were talking about this, you know, we've got this issue with the fact that we're down to one car. Well, one car with a bad transmission, another car that's roadworthy. Which we've been talking about getting the process in place to do an estimate and go forward with potentially ordering a new car out of budget. You know? In my mind, the policies and procedures is probably even more important than a car, an extra car at this stage. But I'd like to know what you guys think about this. Not that I want a decision on spending the $15,000, but
I'm almost taking the opposite viewpoint in the sense of the policy and procedures are things that can be updated a little bit at a time as it goes on. But we could be looking at a considerable amount of extra bills investing in the car for another year, which could put a pretty good dent in expenses. And that worries me more than not having much support in the store.
Well,
Now out of budget.
I think we've already decided that we're not going to put any more money into that older car, right? I mean, to fix the transmission and some other stuff that the Harris Garage had identified was in the range of like $7,000.
Right.
And the garage said, and what I asked, what it would, how long it would last after that, they kind of laughed about the possibility of other things going wrong. So it's really kind of past its end of life. Right? So I'm not interested in spending more money on that car. They can drive it with the transmission slips, but eventually does go in the gear anyway. They can drive it to, the block party and park it there, as a whatever. But they can't use it on the road. So the issue we're talking about is if the new car goes down, are there going to be more service issues there. But the fact of the matter is, the new car, as far as mechanically, or as far as the car's concerned, is doing okay. The problem we have is with the electronics and the lights. And that was my Comco who claimed they fixed it, and it's been off the ask Officer Witt, but I'm going to say 3 or 4 months, and haven't had a problem with that since then. Okay.
And the computer bracket.
The computer bracket is still an issue that has to get fixed. Yeah. Right.
But to me, the idea that just for routine maintenance, having the other car be as fragile as it is, and that being our backup to the car when it has to go in the garage for routine maintenance or electrical, is a little scary because we could end up with literally one car in the garage and one car stuck on the sidelines not being repaired. And to me, having coverage with a reliable car is more important than making sure our policies get updated automatically by another system.
All right.
That's
okay.
my opinion.
Pat, your thoughts?
It's for training too?
So what?
It's for training too?
Well, so there's another offering from Lexipol
Yeah,
to
so
provide a database monitoring of training, which is a step up from what they have today, which is a lot of paper kind of stuff, which also is attractive.
Yeah.
But the key thing is the implementation and the updates of the policies and procedures. That's the $15,000 plus $2,000 a year
Yeah.
for the updates.
Something we should look into.
Huh?
We got our receipts for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Explore the idea of it.
I guess I'm interested in knowing your thoughts and priorities, the car versus this.
I mean, it's definitely good to have 2 cars, I would think. Or at least one very reliable car. You know?
Yeah.
If both cars are down, that's.
Look, in my mind, consider the second car as being down.
But we've been trying to work on this code for a very long time, nothing's gotten done, so.
Right.
Trustee Herzog, do you have any history about how long this policy is? Do you recall any conversations at the board level, like going back prior administrations or prior officers in charge?
I know that Officer Witt had offered to be able to work on the policies and procedures in previous years that kind of came to the head when these before a few years earlier came to the forefront. But I think we on our discussion we had talked about the fact that if Officer Witt was going to be able to do the policies and procedures, was going to be on time to be set aside strictly for administrative duties, and that would be part of what he would work into his schedule over a period of time. And
What about before officer in charge? Yeah, like you were. I'm just wondering because I just don't know if there was if it was ever even brought up.
When I was on the board in, I think it was 2016, officer in charge, Justin Scribner, right, had actually shown the board, me at least, the document that had been generated many years ago, and said that he needed to get that updated. I never heard any work done, but he identified it as an issue. So it certainly goes back that far.
So this is going on a while.
Yeah.
it's been in need of updating for a decade.
Okay, I'll agree with that. So I think it's an issue.
I mean,
It's definitely an issue, but it's also an issue if we have
Yeah.
or if a car goes down and one's half-assed and the other one's
Yeah.
in the garage.
Okay.
I don't know what would we do if that was the case. If we could.
If the new car's in the garage,
Yeah.
I think they're on foot patrol.
On foot, bicycle, which might be okay.
Yeah.
Might be okay, but it might be a dangerous situation where you have to bring want to call and see it.
Well, that's where you gotta call New York State Police, who is our backup. All right. Trustee Contino, questions, comments?
I too am very concerned about the officer safety and the public safety if we don't update those procedures. And I thought we were much closer to getting them done, at least the first round, never mind the updates that we have to come afterwards. this summer, but if you're saying it's not gonna happen unless we get some outside help, which I guess I've heard a little bit of a buzz about, problems administratively updating the procedure.
I'm sorry?
Administratively.
Yeah.
Not the policy so much as just sitting there and actually, working the computer, which I think a lot of people in this room can sort of sympathize with. If they can do it, I think it might be something that's more important than the car, even though I agree. Of course the car is important. Of course we should figure out a way to get a car eventually. But we do have the coverage from the sheriff's office, the state police, we have bicycles, we have foot patrols. If we really have to choose, I'd rather have the procedures.
Yeah, I think we could.
I'm sorry?
I think we could.
Okay,
Just 'cause we talked about this forever, nothing's getting done.
right.
So, why get the car? Why get the car?
Let me tell you what's going on with the cars. So, you see a proposal for a Tahoe, it's $80,000 for a fit. That's a big number. I contacted the mayor of Fishkill, who happened to mention to me casually at one point, luncheon I was at, that they sell their used vehicles to other municipalities. And so she said that they are in the process of replacing a car with a new one. And so I said, I'd like to make an offer on it if you think it's roadworthy. It's 3 years old. And so she said she'll let me know. Right now she does not know the delivery date for the new car they ordered. But when she does, she'll let me know. And then I want myself and Officer to go down and do a test drive and just see if it's a feasible thing to put on the road. The second thing we're doing is, Sarah, you went out for SID bids, right? Around the state.
I went for a state bid.
State bids.
Yeah.
They received 5 responses back. I think it was 5.
Yeah.
Of cars without any of the police stuff on them. And so those quotes came in around $50,000, I was like. No, 40,000.
Yeah, they were higher 40s.
Yeah, high 40s, okay.
Yeah.
And also Karen McLaughlin, who's the clerk, or the treasurer at Rhinebeck, they just ordered some new cars, and they found a company that does the fix-up of a car, off the lot, to become a police car for $20,000. So that's something we're looking at also. Whether we got a bid there, and what that costs to do that. And the third thing we're looking at is Officer Witt is a part-time officer down in Highlands, and they've just bought 2 cars. He claims fully fitted for $45,000. And so I asked him to contact his chief there to see what, first off, confirm that number, and then get more details in terms of what that is, what it consists of, what car, and if the updates are equivalent to what we've been working with. So I'll tell you that there's more work to be done on that, and I'll keep posted with anything that comes up in the next month. In the meantime, I'd like us to chew on this flexible offer for next month, and we need in August to make a decision. Right? I will talk to Sarah and Karen about funding, because it's not in the budget, and I'm thinking about whether we could use fund balance to fund that if the board was supportive of it. Okay.
Now, Vicki, I know you said that, like, for mid-grant, that cars were not eligible with something like this program.
She can correct me if I'm wrong, but the MIG grant for this year we applied, and I don't know what the conditions will be for the next one.
Right.
Okay.
So
Actually, we're waiting to hear about the
it's
results of that request, right? You put that in
Yeah, it could be any day now.
this month.
Yes, it's supposed to be this month.
And that was for equipment, weapons. some-
Right, in the event of a terrorist attack
Yeah.
or a shooter.
All right.
Plus armament, what are they called?
Right, it's all the equipment
Yes.
they might need in that event. Soft armor, hard armor, I can't remember the other things. I don't remember if they're rifles, but yeah, basically everything that would enable them to respond with more
Any comments from the audience about this discussion? Yes.
I agree with Trustee Contino that the policies and procedures. This obviously goes back a long way. I think some of it is sort of like a check the box exercise, but I think the other part of it does expose us to a lot of liability if something were to go wrong. And if something were to go wrong, to go majorly wrong, it could be extremely detrimental to the village. So getting this straightened out, and I've talked to former police officers, this is something that has to be done ASAP, unfortunately. And just so the board is aware, the implementation fee, it also requires the OIC and whoever else is going to help with it to be engaged in the project. They're just not going to do it themselves. They have to have mostly OIC Witt, I assume, sort of, have weekly, semi-weekly,
hours a week, yeah.
Multiple hours a week per month to get this done. So it's not just we just send it off and they do it and it comes back done. It's involves some work from our end too. So that administrative work is, and it could take anywhere from 9 months to a year, they said. I mean, hopefully much shorter than that, but it's not like a week project. Like, it's a big project. It involves us buying in, us being MPD. So if we don't do our part, it's not going to get done.
That's a good point, but we need to make sure we vouch for Witt's commitment to spend the X number of hours a week, so that it doesn't get done on expeditious fashion.
To that point, I am somewhat optimistic about what happened. Just my minimal experience working with the traffic code, he was very available to talk about what should be done, and very good resource. But the computer skills, and I think you'd be the first to admit it, of actually making that happen is not something that I think our force has.
Yeah.
I think they can handle like the true computer, like formatting, that kind of stuff. I think they would handle, I would assume.
Yeah, that's a point.
Yeah. But they need our buy-in, do we need this section, do we not need this section, do this section be edited or amended? I think more of that.
That's exactly what I think we need.
Well,
right.
Like Paul said, that the first thing they would do is give Officer Witt a survey to fill out, which would basically say, here's the elements of the policies and procedures that are relevant for, the Millbrook Police Department. And that would then decide for them, which section they need to focus on. Okay. Because, for example, if you look at the Dutchess County Sheriff's policies and procedures, very thick document, but it covers things like canine usage, drones,
Boats.
watercraft, all kinds of things that are just not relevant for mobile. And so right away you can X that off the list. And they needed his input to make sure they cover all the right bases. So from the get-go, he's going to be actively involved. He solely, I guess, before any of us, is going to be actively involved in making sure this follows the right process.
And I assume he'll keep us up to date.
Oh, absolutely. We'll make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, let's start with me making sure we've got a commitment on this part. Basically, come off the road during the day so we can actually do this as appropriate.
And the one thing I would add, when I was looking at the training piece, I know some of our officers have to do very basic type of certification, right? Would that help them to do it online, or is that process underway?
That process is underway. It includes both Matt Cohane as well as Brooks Lyman going back to Police Academy for partial completion of Police Academy. And so they got to sign up for specific courses there to do that. In my mind, I don't think we want them to be, the focal point for this. I think it's really got to be the officer in charge, and maybe Matt Taney, who's the next New York State police officer.
No, that's not my question. My question is on the training piece. Are they?
I think it's all online.
Either way,
so it's
way
not
it's
like
online.
it's not in person.
That's not what
active
told me
shooter.
that.
It's like you click through like CLE type, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but those are things that are like annual things.
Yeah.
For the basic academy, they've got to go sit in a classroom.
Got it, so it's not gonna change?
No.
Yes.
And
The more actually like that at all.
And it used to be that the county held some of those trainings through the county, and the municipalities could just go and buy in to get the training they needed. So.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
It used to be that way. I can't quote me because I'm not sure on Officer Witt, they said it's no longer the case, but the county helped provide a lot of that training for new officers coming out of the academy, and then getting specific updates and certain things that they didn't get
Okay.
as part of the training initially.
All right. All I can say is that the classes are evidently in high demand because they tried to get in this year and they couldn't get in until January. But for some of the key classes that they didn't take. So the process is underway, so it takes a while. All right. Okay, good. So no decision tonight. I just want you guys to think about it, chew on it, comment on it. Let's debate back and forth, and I'd like us to get to a decision by next month.
Just one
Yeah.
overall comment about the vehicle, the police, etc. I know I say this like every month, but I think we should all be on the same page here that the new vehicle, the only vehicle that works, still does not have a laptop in it, doesn't have these appropriate brackets. So the police can't, they have to write paper tickets, which I assume accounts for very low ticket writing, especially this month and prior months. And they can't look up a person's, a license plate in real time. They have to call it in, etc. So it's hard for me to support, further expanding the police department with more purchases when we don't have the appropriate things in place right now. And, I know Tim and I both sort of volunteered, and I'm sure all of us would, whatever would be required to get this simple task done.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, actually, it's been frustrating because it's been over a year, and I just recently talked to Officer Witt about that. And why there only being one car, it requires, and I said that he should do it, going off the road for a day to a place that can do this installation of this rack because we have the computers. Yeah. So I just recently asked Officer Witt to do that. I'll follow up because you're got a very valid point. Okay, any comments from anyone else about the police discussion? All right, let's move on. Hey, Bob. This is interesting. We had a complaint about people speeding down Church Street. So we've set up the electronic sign. Actually, coming down the hill, you can see it on the right, just before the new entrance to the school, and. We set it up there probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. What you can see from here is about 11% of the cars, 1,071 out of 11,232, exceeded the speed limit by at least 5 miles an hour. The speed limit there is 25, so we set it at 30. So 30 and above, 10% of the cars exceeded that. The complaint was that the speeders were more prevalent on the weekends. And so we compared the data, which isn't here, but there's detail behind this that showed 10% of the cars were speeding overall, above 30 miles an hour, and on the weekends it was 12%. So not a big change between the weekends and the weekdays. So in general, Officer Witt said that a lot of times when he goes out and monitors and he doesn't see speeders, it's because what you see going down the street looks faster than reality. And this is just more data kind of perceives and shows this. Doesn't mean that 10% shouldn't be ticketed, and that's a job for the police to do on a routine basis. All right. Questions about that? Okay, Bob.
Okay, well, the only major thing other than all of our routine duties is that brush pickup ended on Monday, the one day for Monday. It'll be again on August 14th, and then again in September for just the one day. And most people abided by it. Some people put stuff out way ahead of time, 3, 4, 5 weeks before that date.
I'd like to ask the public to honor these dates. The next date being August 14th. So if you could, as close to August 14th as possible, wait to put the stuff out on the road, on the street, near the street. All right, that was just for the sake of the looks of the village.
Well,
The problem with
also,
these dates being a month apart is, it's hard for us to go and talk to the owners and ask them to put the trash back, or, you know, get it taken care of by some other, you know, private enterprise, which is what we normally do.
well, which I did.
Yeah, okay.
Some people went with it,
Oh, I see, you did talk to the guy on Reservoir, that was
and
really
on hate,
Oh, is that right? Okay.
yeah, they picked it up. They just didn't know, whatever. But the other problem is when we get a rain like we just had, the stuff all floats down the street.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
It cause up the storm drains.
yeah,
Okay.
we did a lot of clearing with that. But otherwise, it went well, and hopefully no one puts
Was it
any out.
all in one day, or was it rough, you were on Tuesday as well?
Well, because of the storm,
Mhm.
we picked some up on Monday and finished it up yesterday.
Okay, fine, okay. So again, I just would ask people, if they have brush to put out, that they wait until close to August 14th to do
Yeah.
it.
It was like three and a half truckloads,
Is that right? All right.
so it wasn't too bad. Other than that, the road work is on schedule so far. I haven't heard anything about moving up dates because of the storm, but that can always change, but
Yeah,
we're
we are
set
far enough then.
with that. We're prepping the roads now. We have some catch basin work to do on Reservoir. I've ordered all new tops for the existing catch basins. And we still have some time for that, but that's where we are with that.
By the way, is VRI done with the work you were doing on Reservoir? All right, good. Nice job.
Yeah, that won't interfere at all.
All right, good.
We did some tree trimming in anticipation of the road being paved because of the heights of the trucks and how they raise up. And that's all taken care of. So the only other thing we have is, I know no one's asked about the new truck that we got approved. There are no trucks to buy right now, so that's why I haven't reported on where we are with it or anything
Jane,
like that.
order one?
No, they're not even taking orders for it.
Is that all right?
That's correct. So everybody's on alert to let me know when they can be ordered, or if they arrive, then we can take it from there.
Do you have multiple vendors that you go to, or is it just?
Yeah.
You do?
I've got
So
four.
nobody's taking an order?
No, there's nothing. There's nothing to order from. And that's strictly going with Ford, because that's what we have now. We're trying to stay uniform.
Yeah, understand.
And we've had pretty good luck with them. So, I mean, if it gets to the point where we have to go to Dodge or something like that, we'll look into it. But hopefully, we won't have to do that. As far as all the equipment goes, that's not a problem. Sanders and plows, those aren't a problem. The body, it's the chassis and frame.
All right.
And again, it's not a typical truck. It's a heavy duty truck. So it has to be. I guess they're in demand or something, or they're just not making them right now. But yeah, that's where we are with that. So, keep you apprised of that.
All right, you took down the trees around the pump, the sewer pump.
Those are
Right.
gone.
They still need to pick up the trees, right?
No, they're gone.
Oh, they are gone?
Yep.
All right, good.
The only thing needs to be done is the stumps. If that needs to be done, I don't know.
Well, certainly the one on the way in, right? That one's gotta go.
No, that
And I
one.
thought the reason why you took down those other two in back of where the current station is because they wanted it to be a pad, a concrete pad for the generator, right? So in my mind, the stump should go.
Yeah.
Scott, right? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know the exact location of the generator, that's in Delaware, but
Yeah, all right, well, the reason why I said you gotta take down the trees is because that's where the pad is gonna be. So in my mind, that means the stuff's gotta go.
Well, also, you don't want those trees inside that fence.
Right,
So the
Right.
fence is gonna be the whole perimeter there,
yeah,
and you don't need those trees in there.
okay, fine. All right. So as I said before the meeting, just got the CHIPS numbers from DOT for the new year. And I'll forward this around to the trustees. The total is now $112,000 what's available. And for the paving of Reservoir and the oil and stone of Safari and Valley Farm, that totaled just under $100,000. So you got about $10,000 left for patching the streets in the year, right? Okay. Any other questions about Bob's report, including other stuff that's on the list that isn't talked about?
It's on number 6, and I spoke to Bob this morning. Got a couple calls from various people in the village about sidewalks being kind of unpassable because of shrubs coming into the sidewalks. So maybe we could put something in the next newsletter about trimming your shrubs is
Good.
a requirement.
Yep.
To
To keep a walkway.
keep them, yeah.
And these are, what he's speaking of are privately owned
Yeah,
shrubs, things
Yeah.
like that.
yeah,
We trim, and you've seen me, we trim all the low branches that are, on our trees and things like that. But some of these people have, especially with hedges,
yeah,
the guy on Hart's Village did his hedges today.
Okay.
So that letter was effective.
oh, is that right? Okay, yeah, there's
He was
certain
out
people we have
there,
to send letters
he
to.
took them all the way back, so.
Oh, is that right?
The letters are effective, I mean, they just need to be made aware of it, but
That's funny, because I just had a discussion with Ken, because we never got a response that he accepted the certified letter that we sent. So I guess he did.
he was out there, someone was out there today,
All right, good.
shaving back, so.
But I think the comment in the news is what problems, because it's all our responsibility.
They
I
need to
think we
be,
have, I know at least 3 we've had to go and send letters to.
they need to be made aware of it, and maybe that'll, because they're looking at it from their side, they're not.
Yeah, right.
Seeing it. And it's a problem with people walking, but in the winter, it's a bigger problem is not getting by them without banging up the traffic. It really does narrow the sidewalks quite a bit.
People are forced to walk in the street
Yeah,
in the summer.
that's not
so.
safe. Yeah. Okay, good point. Any other questions or comments for Bob? Anybody in the audience? Anything? Okay, Bob, thanks. Okay, Scott.
all right. We'll start with the water. All the water meters have been read and the bills are out. We replaced a curb box on County House Road. And at the same location, the homeowner repaired a water leak on their service line. Replaced fire hydrants on Washington and Franklin. And replaced 6 curb valves on Reservoir, and we did 1 today, so that would make 7 total.
Oh, is that right? Okay, good.
So that's all done as we talked about.
All right.
Moved them off the road and into the lawn of the pump.
Okay. So they're on the other side of the sidewalk?
Correct.
Excellent.
Yep.
Okay. So Bob, when they come to pave, we're gonna have a country curb. I'm worried about the spots along the reservoir where the sidewalk is way above the road.
And they'll go up to meet it.
So they're gonna be, the country curb's gonna go all the way up to the sidewalk. I think you're gonna do a country curb and then dirt between,
Well,
curb
yeah, but
and
they'll be
sidewalk.
above, so that they'll be high enough so that we'll put the dirt in there and
It'll fill.
it'll blend.
How high is the curb gonna be? There's a portion there where the sidewalk is, I don't know, I'm gonna say 18 inches above the street.
No, that's,
Oh, I don't, okay,
yeah,
fine.
it's probably 8 inches above and 8, 10 maybe.
Is that right?
We'll fill in as much as we have to fill in.
All right, great.
You know,
So basically, we'll take care of this step off into my 18-inch drop.
yeah.
All right, good. Looking forward to that. Any questions for Scott's water report? Where are you with the lead inspection? What's going on with the inspection of the lines, the water lines for lead?
Well, all the ones on Reservoir we did, when we did the curb valve.
That's good. That's a good way to do that. Yeah.
That's right. As for the rest of them, it's, you know, it's a work in progress. I mean, outside of digging everybody's up.
How are you going to do this? I mean, you have until the third quarter of next year, I think, right?
The one thing you can do is you can put out, if you don't know what it is, you can put it as an unknown, and then a letter has to go out to that homeowner every year until you get to that.
Is that right? So you notify the owner that you've not been able to verify whether or not they have a lead line going into the house.
Right. It's either that or you spend a lot of money and just start digging everybody's up, but I don't think it's advisable. I figure we just do, I gotta do Washington Avenue before next year, so we'll get to those.
Okay.
I might even start that in the fall, depending on where we are in the budget.
So how do you, then are you in a database then of what forms you
Yeah,
choose?
oh yeah, the state provided a template on an Excel sheet, so I already have all the addresses in there. And I've already, you know, I fill out as we go,
Okay,
or those that we've done in the past that I have records of.
very good. Have you found any with lead in the
No,
lines? No.
no,
Okay. That's a good thing.
I would suspect there probably are none, but that's
All right.
just based on experience, but here.
Okay, any questions for Scott on water? You in the audience? Okay, let's go to sewer.
All right. June, we repair hauled sludge. As we talked about, I met with Delaware and Bob to go over the tree removal at Bennett Pump Station, which has been done. Clean the drying beds, and we have received bids for sewer main line.
So did you put a chart in here for that?
For what?
The bids, the sewer line bids?
I mean, we don't really have much to do until Scott reviews.
No, I'm saying, is there, you were gonna put it into a chart, I thought.
No, I told you to put it on the agenda.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
We just got the bids today.
Yeah,
Right.
all
We just opened them
here.
today.
Yeah,
I
right.
haven't looked through them, but
Oh, there's a sheet, yeah.
yeah, there's a sheet here. So I mean, it's gonna take a while. I'll go through it.
No, go, take your time to go through it.
Yeah,
The ink's still wet on that.
yeah. I mean, I'd like to get, well, one line we have to do is by the elementary school, so I want to get this done before labor, at least that line done before labor.
Before it gets you back to school?
Right,
Right.
so,
It's a total of how many feet are you looking to,
758,
758, yeah. And this is all in the budget, right?
correct.
You had a discussion about this, okay.
Just briefly looking at this, I mean, it should be under budget, so
Okay, good. All right.
I'll take a look at everything and
Now, how do we have to accept this, or you accept it? What's the process?
Well, typically he'll let us, or when we do it with Delaware, they let us know, and then you guys approve it,
Okay. So
and then we let that
so next
vendor
meeting
know.
we'll, get a proposal, a recommendation from you? You'll be approved?
well, that's gonna put us, like I said, I wanna get this done, so I can get them out here, so they can get that one by the school done before school gets back in session,
Okay.
so.
So you want, like, for like a second meeting?
Yeah, we can do a second meeting. How long will it take you to review the bids?
I could probably have it done sometime next week. I could probably, I mean, I'm short-handed the next 2 days, so if I have time, I'll look at them all, but. I mean, if you want, I mean, I can tell you right now, just by looking at this sheet, there's one that's low, and that's arrow.
I know, and that's the guys you use those
We
guys
use
in
them all
the
the
past.
time.
And those are the ones you like,
Yep,
and they came in significantly below the others,
correct.
right?
I mean, I could look through all their stuff, but. for
No
me-
one else is local either.
What's
No.
that?
I mean, you got Jersey, Delaware, which is great. Massachusetts. And I've had others that sent email proposals, but we're not accepting. I already talked to Sarah about it, so these are ones that were delivered, so that's what we have
So
to.
these are the official responses.
Correct.
And A-Hold is significantly below the other bids,
And they've done all our work here.
okay?
If it were me, just based on looking at the numbers, being that it's Harold, I'm happy with them.
So
And they're,
what can
and
I
they're
just-
under my budget number by a lot.
Okay. Can you just tell the trustees what were the actual numbers of the bids?
Alright, so Errol, well, I'll read them from the top to bottom. National Water Main out of New Jersey was $81,936. Errol was $33,336. Trinity out of Delaware was $59,168. In situ form out of Massachusetts was $52,302.
All right. One thing I want to get from you is a procurement form filled out that show those 4 bids on it. All right. Just make it official. I think you did it before, right?
What we do for the regular.
Well, we did the bid in the paper, so that
Yeah.
that covers our.
The procurement process. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. All right, good. Any questions or concerns from the board? Would we make a proposal that we accept the annual bid? No. Right. I'll make a proposal we accept the bid from A-Hold for $33,336. Need a second?
I'll just second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
All right.
What did you say? Aye?
No, not opposed.
Not opposed. Okay, fine. So it's unanimous. All right. Go forward boldly.
All right.
Okay. Anything else on sewer from Scott?
Just a quick question.
Yes.
I don't know if it's more public for him. What's happening with the pump house?
The pump station?
Yeah, where is it?
Yeah, so the bids are out to the vendors, and they're in the process of ordering equipment. There was a hiccup regarding a variable frequency drive, which the contractor who won the bid thought was required by Delaware, and so they came back and said this would increase the cost. And I says, "What are you talking about? We're not going to increase the cost." The Delaware came back and said, "We don't need this variable frequency drive." Which basically allows them to dial up between 0 and 120 hertz the frequency of the drive motor. And they said they don't have to do that in the past, they don't see any for it in the future. We're not sure how this request got in the vendor's mind. So that was a hiccup. We're delayed the order about a week. Otherwise, we're on schedule, from all I understand.
Yeah. Right.
Now, what I don't have yet is Delaware's updated estimate for the entire project. And I'll follow up with Robert Flores from Delaware on that. Because that was a discussion we had a few weeks ago. And I haven't heard back from him. So that's still open. Okay? Meanwhile, the request for funding from the state budget for from Assemblyperson Barrett and Senator Hitchie. I've gotten requests back for some more detail, and the request continues to go through the process. What's the database that they're using? Through their database, whatever it is. So there's been no hiccups with that process. I expect that's going to come out, but it's not official until they give us the final go ahead. And that's for the $125,000 from each, $250,000 would probably cover the full cost of the project. Okay, Scott, thanks. Okay, this is last second add to the agenda. Scott, you want to tell us about this?
I don't know a lot about it since Mary from Delaware sent me this and asked if we had approved this resolution, and we had approved one in 22 for the same, except for the amount was estimated at $7 million, not $7,350,000, which is why we had to do another one.
Well, that's right. So they're resubmitting the request for a RIA grant for the $7 million sewer plant upgrade, and reason why this resolution is here is because we have to approve an increase to the maximum amount of the cost by 5% to cover the cost of inflation since last year. Right, that's it.
Right.
Okay. And again, this is only for us to be able to submit this application for a grant. We have also requested of Delaware that they submit this same proposal for another state grant so as to reduce the eventual cost to the village to do this project. What's going to happen is if we were to get this grant, we would need to see additional help from New York State somewhere else in their grant pool before we went to the public and said, here's how much your sewer bill is going to go up because of this need to do this upgrade to the sewer plant. Okay. But this is the first step required in us to submit the grant. Any questions about that? Okay, so do you have a copy of it that you can look at and read? Should I go through this? Ian, do I have to read this to the public or not? Should I read this grant?
Yeah, I would do
Okay, this is regarding the wastewater treatment plant upgrade project. This is an update to a resolution that we passed probably a year or so ago. Whereas the village of Millbrook, herein called the village, has established the public benefit of a wastewater treatment plant upgrade project, hereinafter called the project. And whereas the project includes rehabilitation and upgrade of the existing equipment at the wastewater treatment plant, hereinafter called the project. And whereas the village has the opportunity to apply for grant funds from the New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act, that's WIA, which may fund up to $25 million or 25% of the total project cost. And whereas the total project cost is estimated to be $7.35 million. Whereas the village is prepared to contribute matching funds through the Clean Water State Revolving Fund loan program. Therefore, be it resolved, the village of Millbrook is authorized to submit the WIA grant application. The mayor of the village of Millbrook is authorized to sign the WIA grant application. And the village agrees to provide the matching funds required for the WIA project through the Clean Water State Revolving Fund loan program.
Mayor Collopy,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Doro,
Aye.
Trustee Herzog,
Aye.
Trustee Contino, Trustee Murphy.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Sarah.
Alrighty, building department for June, we issued 2 building permits, 2 certificate of occupancies, 2 certificate of compliances, and a municipal search. Total fees collected $1,825. We had, I know that the planning board met last night. I want to say it was for an official, or not official, I'm sorry, for just a setup meeting for the House of Stefas. They bought Aurelia's restaurant, and I believe those plans are going to Renia for review. So I don't really have much more on that. And I don't believe that may spur something for the ZBA, but we might have to wait for Renia to come back. So that's all I have for that, besides the planning board member.
Okay, so the story there is we have a planning board member who's about to resign. She hasn't sent an official letter of resignation yet to the chair of the board, but I do want to post a notice for to seek members from the public who are qualified to replace this position on the planning board. And so we'll post this on our social media sites. It basically says minimum 18 years of age, legal resident, and a member of the village of Millbrook. Can submit a letter of interest, and we say by August 2nd to Sarah Witt, the clerk. And if necessary, they'll have to have a review with the mayor or the planning board chair. And you only need to send your name, address, phone number, email, and your reason for applying. All right. So we're looking to do that, and I'd like to have those in place prior to next month's meeting so we can have a decision by then. Questions or comments about that? All right, so we'll go through that process.
I will post that.
All right, very good, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, treasurer's report?
All right, so for treasurer's report, we're looking pretty good in the accounts, especially taxes are moving well. Beginning of this month in July, I moved $450,000 from the tax into the tax account in New York class,
All right.
just to earn a little extra interest on that.
Okay,
So, and then let's see. I think that's all the major things that happen in the bank.
so the second page is the actual class, what's in your class?
Right. Yeah, which is doing very well.
You can see at the top there, we have the fire truck reserve is in there. You can't see the tax account, you just talked about that. And then we have money in there for the water fund and the sewer fund.
Right.
We haven't paid back the $250,000. Oh, that is the van?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to pay that one back.
All right, fine.
So, yep. We made that, and then I put the one we had received
But what's
in
it,
there.
when you say year-to-date income earned, what in the second last column totals $13,234, but then it says below there, year-to-date income earned $17,000. What's the difference between those two numbers?
I'm not seeing 17. Were you seeing 17? Oh, this one? I'm not sure.
Okay.
Nicole normally puts this one in, so I don't know what the difference is. I can ask her though.
All right, fine,
See
yeah, please
where
do.
she got that number.
Well, let's focus. I think the $13,000 is a legitimate number.
Yeah.
From the past. Okay.
Yeah, I would suspect that one is.
Okay. And your comments at the bottom of the chart?
So we've collected $1,116,179.53 to date, and again, I moved $450 of that into New York class,
Good.
and you'll see that in the next month.
All right.
We have about 35 bills that are unpaid, so we'll send a second notice out. I did send out the town SBA's, their little individual invoices, and I think I've collected like $635 so far. And I only just sent that out at the beginning of the month, so it's pretty good. Starting the AFR or the AUD with Karen. It's a new system, so it's kind of like getting your bearings straight, and it's a little wacky. It's a little different. So we only just started working on that this past week. And then, as Tim mentioned, we received the CHIPS money at the end of June. So that's been recorded.
Which we counted as part of the last fiscal year.
Yep. We put that in as prior year, so you should see that, I think, in the operating statement.
Yeah, it is there.
Yep. So
Okay.
that's all I
Questions
have.
about the treasurer's report? Anybody?
What's the SBA invoices?
That's the sewer benefit assessment.
It's a sewer special benefit assessment, yeah. And so for the people in the town, for the people in the village, it's part of your tax bill.
Yeah.
And it's a special mailing for those who don't get a village tax bill.
Did we correct that for those parcels that we had that long discussion last year?
What was that?
Skips parcels?
Added him to this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he already paid.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't a lot of money, but it was
Yeah.
to do the right thing. And it's every year, so why not? Okay. Any other questions? Comments? Okay, let's talk about bed and breakfast. If you may, it's yours.
Well, not so much bed and breakfast, but we did, in our quest to add short-term rental regulation, we took a look at we didn't think we had a bed and breakfast part of the code, but we actually do, but it's extremely limited and quite old, so again, we piggyback off of Rhinebeck to update that. But our main focus, obviously, is on short-term rentals, Airbnbs, VRBOs, other platforms that are popping up that offer a rental in the village for less than 30 days. And it's been an issue for surrounding communities. Different municipalities are taking different approaches. Being in the village, in such a dense village, I know I've been the recipient of a good amount of complaints, so we've been looking at this for quite some time, as you all know, and we finally sort of finalized it, at least, hopefully, on our end, and for a final review and discussion tonight, hopefully. But we pretty much looked at Rhinebeck's, which I thought was the village of Rhinebeck's, which is most applicable to Millbrook, and took out a few parts of the law which didn't really make sense for us, or might add cost to the village or the homeowner. But this is the current proposed law. The town has either going to or gone to public hearing on their law, which is not quite the same. If there are more than 15, which I don't assume there will be in the village, we'll have a lottery system. Rhinebeck has the same part of the law. They've never had to actually use it, so I don't anticipate us having to do that either. We set a fee schedule. We set a penalty fee schedule as well. The initial fees will pay for the building inspector Ken, or someone that he has hired to go in, make sure these short-term rentals are safe. They have the appropriate everything from parking to square footage to fire safety. And take it back to kind of the beginning, this is geared to preventing a sort of too many of these popping up in the village. You can imagine a village full of short-term rentals, when we would kind of cease to be a community. It would just be transients coming in and out. So that's what we're trying to prevent, while also keeping in mind that people with apartments over their garage, or mother-daughters, or an extra room, people that need some extra income, can do this, but in a lawful way that respects their neighbors and respects the village as a whole. So that's what we thought about when putting this together. And again, I think Rhinebeck, they really did a lot of the heavy lifting on this, and I spoke to their mayor and someone on the board for a lot of in-depth conversations about this, and so I think it hits everything we've talked about and we want to hit.
Okay, so this is first time that we'll pass this out. We'll have this posted, and I'm sure we appreciate the public to take a look at that. If questions or comments. The question I have is, as of right now, we should send it to Ian to do his legalization prepared for the addition to the zoning. The way that would work is we would do that, come back next month, and we would then have a resolution of adoption, which we then follow with a public hearing the following. Right, that's how it would go?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. So first off is, have the trustees had a chance to look at the documentation, any questions about that themselves?
Probably people haven't had any specific questions. And interestingly enough, the town is having a public hearing on their version of this same type of document tomorrow night. Having read both, I like ours a lot because it has very strict, very easily read numbers, limits, things about it that are very clear-cut, very little legalese. I think very user-friendly for people to understand. So I like it a lot.
Okay. Pat, Ricky? Comments? All right. So it does have a $500 application fee. Right, there's a permit form you fill out, an application fee. and $150 a year inspection fee, right? And I think feedback from Ken, we had two comments. One of them is, people like item 11 where it says, annual inspection required, that if the owner doesn't schedule the inspection, the fire inspection, that would revoke the permit. In other words, he wants the owner to be on the STR owner to get the annual fire inspection back.
We'll probably reword it to some extent. Now this is an annual permit,
Right.
so that it has to be requested every year.
Okay. Now, the only annual payment after the first $500 is just the $150 for the fire inspection, right? Okay. Yeah. The
So
town-
if you have one year and you don't reapply, it's not automatic. So
Oh.
you have to reapply every year.
Yeah, okay, fine. But it doesn't require the $500.
Not the $500
Yeah, okay, fine. But $150 for the fire inspection.
after the initial 500.
Okay. The second question he had is how do we enforce the limit on the number of STRs in the village? Is there someone who's monitoring that? Is there a database like Granicus through the county that we would have access to how many totals there are?
So I think, firstly, we would look at what people have actually submitted
All right,
for that first initial go around.
all right, the permits, yeah.
And then if it's less than 15, which I assume it will be, we would just, and again, we'll probably engage Granicus. The county will give up to $5,000 to use this software service. The Village of Rhinebeck has never used the full 5, so that would basically cover the entire period that we would need them for, or
And
on
the
an
cost of
annual
that,
basis, the cost. And if there's someone listing an Airbnb in the village that's not in our system, my understanding is they'll let us know that.
Okay,
And then we would assess a fine.
yeah, okay, fine. All right. And then what about adding a village tax to the STR?
We spent a little bit of time looking into this. The only local municipality I could find that has assessed another layer of taxation is Hudson, which is like a 4% fee, which would be kind of tacked on through Airbnb or the platform itself. So it'd be kind of invisible, but no one in Dutchess County that I'm aware of, and I recall we're not going in that direction at this point.
Okay. We'd be the first of the kind in the county.
Yes.
All right. Any questions or comments from the audience about this?
As a village resident, I applaud it. I thank Trustee Doro for taking it on. I think it's necessary. I know I've received complaints from village residents about Airbnbs or VRBOs or short-term rentals next door to them, and it's been disruptive to their lives. So, and again, I think 15 is a great threshold. As Trustee Doro said, he doesn't think we can have that many. And obviously, you can amend your own law. If 15 is not tenable to your constituents, you guys could then change it to 20. But I think 15 is a great launching pad, and I absolutely applaud it. Thank you guys for taking it on, because I know it's not an easy task.
Okay. Anybody else? Yeah.
That just not tax.
Yes.
Why would the village?
So what is Dutchess County tax? Is that 7%? Is that right?
Here, did I send you the email? Because Pleasant Valley's going through this right now. I can forward an email. We asked the question specifically to the finance department, and it appears to me that you don't have the ability. That's how I read into it. That Dutchess County does collect the tax. I asked if they share with municipalities, and they do not share that with municipalities. But I do not believe that you're a taxable entity on short-term rentals, is what my understanding was. But I'll certainly pass the email along.
Okay, I'd like to
I
see
don't
that.
know that you have the authority to do that in terms of taxing. Obviously, you can tax the property, you do all properties in the village, but to impose what would be a sales tax, the county has the authority to do that. The cities, I think, do, but I'm not aware of the village.
Maybe that's why Hudson can do it. I don't know.
Hudson is it, what is it?
City.
Is it city? Okay.
And we talked about it briefly in terms of why we didn't. We couldn't find anyone around here that has done it, so maybe we just can't do it legally. There's been a lot of litigation around Airbnbs nationally, so there might be, some other kind of state laws coming into effect that will supersede local laws. And then just the mechanics of how it would work, whether it's through the platform, you have to engage Airbnb. It's not clear.
Okay.
So for all those reasons, it just seemed very clunky, but it's something we could certainly continue to explore if it's legal. But I don't know.
Well, one thing I'd like to just understand is how much revenue we're talking about. What the % tax we need for this. We're going to start there. So, okay. All right, so look, so what we'll do is we'll post the proposed code. I'll give it a week or so, and then I'll give it to Ian and ask him to start doing his thing in anticipation of a resolution of introduction at the August meeting. To be followed by a public hearing in September. All right? Any more comments, questions on it? Okay. I do want to bring up one thing before Ian leaves. Last month, I presented a proposed update to the partial exemption for both seniors and veterans for village taxes. I showed you a chart that had my assessment of what those updates might mean in terms of the overall reallocation of the budget. And I proposed that we do the updates in 2 phases over 2 years to achieve the town of Washington levels by the June of 2025 tax period. Ian had made a comment that he wasn't sure if we as a village had the authority to do such. And so first I want to hear from Ian on what was your investigation and recommendation?
To grant these exemptions?
To increase the exemption. We have exemptions today in place, which are, I'm going to say, outdated when I compare the exemption levels for the village of Millbrook versus other villages as well as towns in the county.
So it looks like you're at there are 3 different exemptions or possible exemptions that
For veterans. Yeah.
that they can be eligible for.
And there's one exemption available for
For
seniors.
seniors. So there's a wartime exemption, combat veteran exemption, and service-connected disabled
Right.
exemption. And the village is currently at 9,000 for wartime, 15,000 for the combat, and 30 for disability.
Yeah, service-related disability, that's right.
Right. So you can increase those. There are, the statute is very specific. So what you're at now is it's a maximum exemption of 9,000 for the combat veteran, 6,000 for the 9,000 for wartime, 6,000 for combat. Combat those who combine the first 2, and then the 30,000. There are a slew of possible increases to that. So, you can go to 15,000, 10, 50, you can go to 15,000, 25,000, 50, 18,000, 12,000, 60,000. You've got it.
So my question to you is, do we have the authority to increase the levels to the level of the town of Washington has today?
In the town of Washington is 27,045 and 90.
27, 45, and 90, that's right, for the veteran exemptions. And by the way, all those are maximums, and it's
That's
for
right.
example, for wartime service, it's a 15% exemption up to 9,000 today.
Yeah.
This would be a 15% exemption up to 15,000, up to 27,000, I'm sorry.
25,000, but,
Okay.
and then service connected is 50,000.
Yeah. And I showed last month what the impact would be in terms of the impact to the assessed values of the rest of the people.
Yeah,
And it would be an addition of 0.42%. Basically towards our,
the answer to your question is yes, you can
I can.
increase it to,
and what I propose to the board, that we do that in two steps. So we do half of it by June of 2024, and the other half by June of 2025. Okay, to achieve the town of Washington's levels
yeah,
by the June 2025 tax.
that is a little bit tricky, because the statute is very specific about the amounts that you can increase to. And so you can increase what the town has, which is 27,000 for that, basic exemption. 45,000, which is 27, and 18,000 for the combat veteran exemption.
Let me focus on the senior because that's simpler.
Okay.
For the veterans, it's a little more complicated just because it's a function of the degree of the disability and that kind of stuff.
Correct.
For the seniors right now, the exemption available is a 50% reduction in their property tax if their adjusted gross income is below 20,500. And it phases out from 50% goes down to 0% if their AGI is 28,900.
Yeah.
What I'm proposing is a 50% reduction for an AGI up to 29,000 that phases out by 37,000. And all I do for the first year is go from 20,500 to 25,000 the first year, and then go to 29,000 the second year.
That you can do.
Okay,
I-
it's pretty straightforward. And by the way, it's I just give this to Lisa, the assessor, and she puts it into the system.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not something that you gotta take out.
So one question is the veterans exemption is very specific. You can only do it by local law, either adopted or changed.
Are the both these required changes to the local law?
I believe it does, but the senior exemption mentions by resolution. And I looked at your code, and your code for the senior exemption, it doesn't state explicitly what the exemptions are. It says that the board does this by resolution.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So,
Is the veteran exemption in the system, in the code? The specifics?
it doesn't say the specifics. It just says that, the board does it by resolution.
I want to do them both by resolution, but Lisa said that it had to be by
The
local law.
the veterans exemption definitely has to be done by local law.
Okay,
The senior exemption, it wasn't clear to me in the statute. It suggested that you might be able to do it by resolution.
why not do them both by local law since they're really linked
Yeah,
together?
that, you
That doesn't
certainly
make sense.
can do it by local law.
If you're gonna do one by local law, let's do them both by local law, since the next time we update it, we'll do them together.
Yeah.
Like we're trying to do now.
And then that way you can, they're gonna be in your code and will be explicitly put.
All right, fine. So does the board have any objection with me pursuing with the documentation is required? I guess it's a resolution of introduction next month,
Yeah,
public hearing the following month?
correct.
To do that two-phase process? Everybody okay with that?
I'm okay with it.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
And
I'll
that-
work with Ian to give him the details, of what goes in the local law. We can present to the board next month for a resolution introduction, followed by public hearing in September.
Do a new law next year or one law that takes?
I want one law to,
Years
I want
to-
one law to show the phase in both June of 2024 as well as June of 2025. Can you do that?
I think you could do that, I'll have to,
Oh, check that out.
Yeah,
I like to do one step.
yeah.
Yeah.
That would be all
With
for
white
you.
Right,
kids,
right.
The phase-in that you want for the senior exemption, you want 25,000.
Let me show you the numbers. I got a chart here that has the details. I'll give
Okay.
that to you. All right.
Okay. so
Actually, it's a chart I presented at last month's board meeting. And I'll give that to you and go over it.
So next year would be, it would be next year's, it would apply to next year's assessments.
Yeah, June of 2024, I want to see half of the delta reduced. In June of 2025, I want it to be equivalent to the town of Washington.
Okay.
To town of Washington's current levels.
The veterans exemption is more complicated because
Yes,
it gives you very specific,
I know.
I don't know why it's like that. It gives you several different options, but
Well, actually, they combine a couple of them together.
they
Yeah.
combine the three together.
Yeah.
I don't know why. So for, you know, to in order to have that first exemption at a maximum of $27,000 reduction in assessed value, then that means it's combat exemption is a maximum of 18,000 or 18.
So, Ian, let's do this. Let's not go through the details now. I'll work with you offline
Okay.
on the specific request. Actually, I'll put this into verbatim what I want to have in each of the two steps.
The thing is, the statute doesn't seem to allow what you're proposing to do.
It never does, but we'll work with you. We'll make it legal.
Okay.
Okay?
So I mean, you could do a lesser amount, but you've got to, again.
Well, let's work with offline on that, all right? And we'll bring it to the board next month. All right?
Okay.
Everybody's okay with that? Any questions about that? Okay, good.
Can you skip public comments?
Well, any public comments?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about trees in a minute, so any trees here, any trees people here, just keep your guns in your holster for the time being. Okay, good. So no public comments? All right, let's move on to board member updates. Maybe Mayor Doro, we already talked about the STRs.
Yeah, tennis courts, I think I said it last month, but there were some cracks from last year's resurfacing. Carlisle spoke to Oval, and they're gonna come out. And they're gonna let us know when they come out, and she'll let me know, and they're gonna fix it essentially once. Probably this will be it. But they're gonna fix these pretty significant cracks.
Okay, good.
I think I saw their van like maybe last week. So I don't know if they went to just look at it or what, but they were definitely there.
We sent the paperwork.
Okay.
It was signed. She sent it in, so if I hear anything, I'll let you know.
Okay, good. Are the crash kit works, do you know?
I haven't been there in a
Haven't
couple
been there?
weeks.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine.
I don't think so.
All right, good. Anything else? Okay, Trustee Herzog.
Okay, trees and sidewalks. Since our last meeting on June 14th, our engineers for the sidewalk project have been working with DOT to submit forms for a permit to proceed with the CDBG project on Franklin Avenue. Department of Transportation, State Department of Transportation has our final paperwork, and we're awaiting consensual approval of revised plans before we send the project out to bid, hopefully no later than end of July. So we're waiting on the DOT right now. Had a meeting today with an interested resident and Representative Carrie Institute to explain reasons for planned tree removal of 5 trees along Franklin Avenue, and that meeting today went well, and things are proceeding as planned. Second thing, a Shade Tree Commission had a meeting on July 6th to discuss possible tree replacements for the CDBG project. 6 possible trees were selected for board consideration to plant in specific locations. Mayor has pictures of each one.
Which we're gonna post on the website under the sidewalk project.
Oh, okay, I thought you
I
had
said,
that.
you know, to Nicole asked me to do it, so I do it tomorrow or Friday.
Oh, okay, all right, I thought you had.
No.
Okay. There's 6 trees. I want to put out, say out loud so that we have them here in the set. I want to thank the 3 people in the audience who are either parts of the Shade Tree Commission who came to contribute to these. And that was Kevin, Phil, and Brad Rolo, who has been there to be able to kind of guide us in the selections and the locations for the different trees. The 3 taller trees we plan to put, hopefully one by the alpaca store, one by Stewart's, and one other depending on availability. The American Elm Princeton cultivar like by the alpaca store, the Zelkova or alpaca by the Stewart's store, and by the New Hill. We're going to be using a medium-sized tree because we have another tree that's right by the diner itself and already provides some shade and some branches coming out of it, so we want to be able to avoid making that too crowded.
Well, that's like New Hill, actually, I'm not bothered.
Yeah, on their property.
Yeah.
And the 3 trees that we picked for medium-sized tree to go in those places would be a chinkapin oak, a red maple molehill, and a potential tupelo. So board members who want to be able to research any of those, if you go to the site known as the Norton Arboretum, they have all of those online to look at specifically with heights, shapes, and all sorts of different details about their fast growth, slow growth, adaptability for buildings. So all of these are on the list of recommended trees given to us by DEC, Urban Forester, who came to visit, Brad Roller, local resident, and also arborist, over these as well, and can answer questions are there identified specific to the trees. Phil, who's in the audience, was here for the last meeting and attended our shade tree meetings, made some contributions as well. Questions about that? Okay.
One thing about the sidewalk project in general, I mean, you're there as an interested business owner. We've got to figure out what we're going to do. Once we get the project out to bid, and we have selected a contractor, we're going to have a meeting with the business owners along the affected ones. Talk about what we're going to do to minimize the impact of the businesses. So I guess it's, I asked President of the NBA, Murphy, to come tonight. She couldn't, she's confident. But I need to get the NBA and the business owners engaged in this discussion so that when we actually come to the time to start ripping up the road with the sidewalk, business owners have been mollified as much as we can so there's no impact to the businesses. Now, for example, in Norton, when they did the project, they actually built wooden ramps from the street into the businesses. And I'm hoping that they can do the same thing here, but I just want to make sure the business owners are participating in that discussion. So we'll figure out how we're going to do this, but somewhere along the way, well before we start pouring concrete, we will have some kind of a meeting with the business owners to talk about that. All right?
That'd be very helpful, thank you.
Yeah.
How long is the project take from, they're saying it's 2 months to limit? Is it months?
It shouldn't be months. Once they start construction and they do the E-strut and then actually put in the new cement, we're talking weeks, months. The only thing that may be a problem going forward is we have made very, very strong and very public commitments to put trees in as part of this project. If the cement part of this goes into late October into November, that introduction of trees may have to be put off until spring, because we can't be planting trees in December.
We do want them to do, we've been talking about phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 from Front Street to Church, phase 2 from Church to Friendly. We do want them to do phase one first before they go to phase two. So I don't want the whole street torn up, or the whole sidewalk torn up from front to friendly. I want the first phase torn up, redone, ready to be walked on, and then they go to the second phase.
We may be able to accomplish that in one piece. In other words, the first week and a half go to
That's fine, if they can do that
if they
quick,
can
yeah.
do it. But it also depends on funding, because we know that we have an estimation for any engineering on the call for each section. And we have a $100,000 grant from the county, which contract which extends right until the end of 2024. So if we don't do the second half of the project until spring of 24, then we're not getting the money from.
Yeah, we have 100,000 for each phase, 200,000 total. The question is, can we afford to do both phases at the same time? Even if we do, we'll still heavily do the first phase before they do the second phase.
We're not gonna let them tear up the street from Front Street to Friendly Lane. That's not
Right.
happening.
That's part of the discussion I want the business owners to be participating in, so there's no surprises once, you know, the contractors show up. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm kind of a Johnny come lately to this, but I heard your choices, they are good ones. Can I pass this to the Shade Tree Commission?
Of course.
There's a few, cultivars that I've dealt with of trees that you mentioned that you made. But question though, importantly, are all sidewalks going to be eventually, redone? And is structural soil being used between the buildings and the curb?
Yes. Okay, now,
That's
say-
a-
Oh, wait, the answer to your second question is yes. The answer to your first question is, I hope so, but it's a long time out. It's gonna be a long project.
And over time, there'll be structural soil put in the sidewalk area.
any place where there is concrete being dislodged and adjacent to a tree area, we are putting in structured soil around the pit. That's supposed to, that's
not a
it.
problem.
Now this is talking until 24. There'll be new elections for mayor and trustee position in 24. What's going to happen after that? Can't say.
We're hoping this is the start of a continuation through the village, because across the village there's a need for sidewalk repairing.
If you need any assistance on sourcing any of this material, let me know.
Okay, great, thanks.
And I want to publicly say thank you to Brad, because he's been helping the Shade Tree Commission for more than 2 years now, and any time a professional arborist to come out and give us a reading on a tree that may be dangerous, that may be problematic, he's done so, and he's done so very quickly, and thank you for the public service. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it, Brad. All right, good, thanks, Mike. What else?
With just the third thing, we had an NRI meeting for the village on the smart community task force. We met with the town of Washington, CAC reps, and the town of Clinton reps on June 22nd. We reviewed maps that have been created to identify water resources, animal habitat, soil, and forest reserves. And a base map of the town of Washington was approved for use, and that map was used on June 24th when reps from all of the things I mentioned manned the booth at the farmers market, where we asked the public input about our activities and discussed the revised base map, and gave out N95 masks, stickers, and a brochure that you all have, which now describes our progress as a climate smart community and the program that we're up to that goes with it. The next farmers market booth will be manned on July 15th to continue this outreach process, and the last scheduled booth date will be August 9th. And the NRI Joint Task Force Committee hopes to have maps and information ready for a presentation in mid-September. Town Supervisor Gary Sperry and Mayor Tim Collopy are looking at dates for a town-village joint meeting in addition to our traditional meeting date to discuss the NRI program, because by then we'll have maps and information that cover everything we've done in the last program. Finished with that. And finally, the mayor and I have put in an urban forestry grant application. It's in, it's been submitted. It took us between 15 and 20 hours, but we're asking for approximately $15,000, which will allow us to get an inventory of all this municipal tree, as well as a management, community forest management program, putting plans in place for how we then can proceed with using the inventories to make 5-year plan or whatever length we can for removing trees and planting more trees. We'll see if we get it, that will be sure.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Trustee Contino?
On the EV chargers, the project manager at Energy has been nudging Central Hudson to get them hooked up. That would be the final thing we have to do, make them operable and then start some publicity. And they think Central Hudson may come within the next 7 to 10 years. So
All right.
that's what we have on that.
Now, where are we with the paving of the pad? Because we approved a motion from the board to pay our half of that 20 by 40 blacktop pad.
Right.
Has the town come through on their end or not? Did you ask Bob Audia if there's a, come back to the intent?
something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a resolution or a motion they made anyway, that we were going to use some of our budgeted money, $2,200 I think it was, to cover our half of the paving of that path.
Right.
I'm sorry?
You do charge
Yeah,
them.
yeah, he got the
You do
quote
it.
because he had the lowest bid, and I thought we did this months ago.
Yeah, we did.
And the last time initially I heard that the town was gonna do it
Even if
themselves.
Central Hudson gets there right now, you can't use them because there's no parking.
Well, you can, just be kind of muddy your grass, it'll be grassy to start with, it'll be muddy. So, yeah, if you check with Bob Audia to find out where the town is on
Okay.
approving their half of it.
Okay.
It's a lot of money. And the second thing was, I'd asked if you and Pat could look at what the next code update ought to be, right?
I thought you had 3 ideas.
Yeah, and I wanted you guys, the two of you, to decide.
Oh, we haven't really had a conversation.
All right, I'd like you guys to do it, just to continue the process of updating the code where appropriate. And I think it'd be good for Pat to participate in the process, just so he understands what it takes.
Yeah, I just thought sidewalks conversation might be
What do you guys think is appropriate? Do you like to get that ball rolling, okay? All
All
right,
right, so.
all right, good. All right, Pat?
Met with Bob Simontelli.
Okay.
Village Hall front steps. He has 3 different ideas, options. Patching's probably, he says you can do that, but it's gonna last a year. It'll be
Yeah,
back,
let's
you know,
not do
it's
that,
not-
right?
You can hammer out that whole pad, like from that, where that cut is.
Yep.
Take those steps out, you gotta take the railings out, and then you can, which is probably the most costly, or you can saw cut just the steps, keep that upper, like the upper thing,
Yeah,
pull the steps out and pour new ones. But he's gonna give me 3 prices just
Okay, fine.
for those 3. But we gotta get in touch with 2 other contractors too. I don't know if you met with Boscardin.
Dom said he hadn't had a chance to get there yet, he was gonna get there this weekend.
I mean, even I can meet there whenever you want. or
I'm sorry? Yeah,
I can
could
meet
you?
there.
I'd like you to be the focal point for this.
Yeah, because like I'm getting an idea of what, because they all gotta be, the bids gotta match. You know,
Yeah,
it's like.
right, what they're gonna do.
Yeah, with the animals, yeah.
Right.
So that they're all bidding on the exact same thing.
So the first option that you just said is a non-starter.
Yeah,
right?
we're not.
The second option is to cut where the expansion joints are now.
Yep. Cut
All the
it
way to the door.
all the way, almost to the door, about 5 feet from the door.
All right, fine.
And the other one is you cut to the first step down, and you just cut along the edge, and we'll do a new joint there, cut those steps out.
Is the top step okay?
And you won't even have to deal with the railings here.
Oh, really?
Because the top step, he says there's only one crack in it. I mean, it's not that bad. He
Not
says it's
that
in pretty
bad?
good shape, actually.
All right, fine.
But it's just an idea, maybe a little bit lower the cost.
All right, good.
When I get these numbers, then I'll go back, we can talk together and see what direction we want to go with it,
Good.
and then.
What I wanted to do was we agreed to sell the stock in the Lamont Christmas fund. And this was Excel Energy stock, which is energy coming out in the Midwest. And just on the paper today. being sued by a variety of insurers out in the Midwest because there was a forest fire and we're blaming on Excel. So I checked with Sarah, we'll check tomorrow to see if they sold the stock before it. If not, I may put a hold on Excel. Believe that. Anyway, okay. Last thing I got is, Deputy Mayor and I went to the Board of Education meeting on the 20th of June to present the result of the comments we got from residents as we were going through the VNT update. And we requested specifically that they stop using Alden Place as a traffic line for buses. All right. And right now they're only using it for the grade school. Middle school and high school already is using exclusively the new exit. Possibly partly because they've done some things since we've had this discussion to increase the controls, like they closed the gate at the top there, I guess, when the schools are to prevent people on buses from coming down there. So one of the things we asked was that they complete that process and make sure no buses go out of Alden, and that was a request we made. The second we asked is that they maintain the improvements they've made to help traffic flow both there as well as over Elm Drive. Because as we've been discussing, they've done a variety of things to get more visibility out there, more people controlling the traffic flow, helping people getting the kids out in the morning and the kids in the cars at night. And we asked that they continue to do that, which was perceived positively by some of the residents. And then the third thing we did is we reviewed their capital plan. They've got this significant capital improvement project, which includes changing the traffic flow at all three locations. At the high school, we're actually talking about a roundabout being used at the top of the hill there, so that we're going to do it right now. For the grade school off of Alden, we're going to increase the size of the road going into the school and switch where the buses load and unload versus the cars unload and unload, which will allow more cars to be on that road when they're coming for drop-off and pickup. And in Elm Drive, they propose actually putting an additional road in back of the houses that are, say, as you look at the school from Elm Drive on the left until you get to the bend. They put actually a road back there, which is where the cars would wait for drop-off and pickup. Even though that's kind of maybe shocking to the residents there, it's in their list of considerations, all towards the end of trying to improve traffic flow from drop-off and pickup. Again, that's all proposals for this part of this capital improvement plan. So there's a way to go. Anything else you want to say about that meeting, Deputy Mayor?
No, just more to come. I mean, you know, this proposed road on Elm going through this green space, going through the field, I think it's a large shock, to say the least. And I'm sure residents will be upset, and just, I don't even live there, and I would be upset. In this field that kids use, have used for years, and turning it into a blacktop driveway is a big concern. So I think more to come, you know, but let's just keep it in the back of our minds for now.
Yeah. At least we went there and proposed, talked about the issues, had a discussion, and we'll keep after.
The only substantive thing they had to say, a board member, was if we had hired a traffic engineer to study these issues. And obviously our response was no, because we had talked about it, and you know.
I actually received a quote.
We received a quote, but we don't need a meteorologist to tell us what the weather is outside, you know? So, like, they didn't have anything substantive in response to us. So, more to come.
Right. It's obvious that they've done things as part of the discussion occurring. Right?
They have.
The idea is we need to keep focused on this, and they maintain that and do more.
Yep.
And so that's what we're going to do. Okay, any other questions or comments for the meeting, or topics? With the motion, we adjourn the meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Thank you.
8 o'clock.
Shortest yet.